Hey, welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we talk about anything political, mostly on the conservative spectrum, starting from dog catcher all the way up to world leaders and even some, not political stuff like the Pope, which we will be discussing at first because it's the hot topic right now. And then we are going to talk about the next big market crisis that could bankrupt our pensions. So let's get the show going. Let's welcome our mercurial, well, he's from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome.
Howdy, Art. Howdy. Hello in the chat. How y'all doing?
Yeah. So, how's the weather there in Muskogee?
About like it is in London. Nothing but friggin' rain for the last damn 2 weeks.
Wow.
We had 11 inches of rain, over 11 inches of rain last month.
Wow. It rained most of the day here in the Denver metro area, so we got a lot of rain, so now you guys get to deal with it.
Oh, yeah, we've been getting it. It's been going steady now for 2 weeks. No, it's been, every day has been raining, so.
Well,
get a little tired of it.
Plenty green when it stops.
Oh, we got a lot of green too. It's soggy right now. You can't even most people can't mow their lawns because their yard, their lawnmower will sink,
Yep. All right, let's welcome all the way from the great blue state of New York, who now has water. Let's welcome Charles. If I could click on, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Welcome.
Hey, Lloyd. Everybody in the chat.
Hello, guys. How you doing? How you doing, Charles?
Good.
So, yeah, how's the weather there in New York?
It's today, the last couple of days actually, it's been kind of cool and cloudy, and the next couple of days we're just going to get straight rain.
Oh, boy, there you go.
Yeah.
But hey, at least you got running water now.
Yes, that is
good to hear.
Yes.
So the latest hot topic is we now have a new pope, the first one from North America. He's from Chicago. His name, I forgot his first name, but his last name is
Peter
Provost.
Provost, yeah. Cardinal Peter Provost.
Cardinal, and he is now
Pope Leo the 14th.
Leo the 14th.
Yeah.
And now, which I know there's like 4 or 5 different branches in the Catholic faith. There's the Dominican, there's Franciscan, and so
he's not Jesuit, he's not Franciscan or Dominican. He's the other one, and I cannot for the
other one.
Yeah, I can't remember. It starts with an A. I can't remember what it is now.
Oh, Anaclesic?
No, it's
Oh,
not that. No,
anapostic or
no,
apostle or
no.
atheist?
No, you're not an atheist, but he is. He is a liberal,
Uh,
unfortunately.
he is well, Chicago. What do you expect? You know.
Well, he's lived, but he hasn't lived in Chicago for a long time. He's lived. Yeah, he went to college in Philadelphia
Uh,
with a degree in mathematics. They think part of the reason that he was picked was because one, he's an outsider, and their banking industry has still not been fixed, and that's what they were hoping that
right.
Francis would do. Instead, Francis decided to tilt at windmills and do everything else but deal with the bank, and now they're
Right.
$2 billion deficit right now. The Vatican Bank, so they uh, they're hoping with his understanding of mathematics and uh, of course, everybody wants a connection with him. Uh, in the United States, like Chicago, he's one of their own. Philadelphia, well, he went 4 years to college here at Van Haven or Van something other university. Uh, and then uh, we actually have a connection in Tulsa.
Mm,
My cousin's daughter is a school teacher up there, and she taught at one of the Christian uh, schools up there. It's called Holland Hall,
uh,
HLAND, and it was for it was the Protestant version of the other parochial schools.
ah,
But she's leaving that and going to work at a place called Cassia Hall, which is a Catholic. And he was one of the bishops of Cassia Hall, and was actually lived here in or lived in Tulsa for a couple of years as one of the high muckety mucks of that particular school, like the president, the vice president, the grand poobah, whatever they call them at
right.
the school, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, and they actually she was actually there today signing her contract when all this happened,
Uh,
and when they were talking with her about it, uh, they pointed that out and showed him the picture, and she said, and they sent me a picture of him, a very young version of him. Uh, as a I don't even know if he was a bishop then. He may have just been a priest at the time, but anyways, of him being taken with the rest of them. So he was there uh, either as a teacher or as an administrator in Tulsa for a couple of years. So
mm,
even Tulsa, Oklahoma has a connection to the current to the
wow.
pontiff.
Ah, that's cool. So I guess
He was
I
made
guess
a
we
he was
could
made a
most
cardinal, huh?
say, hey, we got Pope. Our
Yep,
Pope is from here,
yep.
not from Poland, not from the Philippines, not Argentina,
No, he's from the
Italy.
United States of America. Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course we're one of the newest Catholic churches there is because of
yeah,
the age of our nation,
right.
uh but he's most people are looking at him that he's a liberal because he was actually appointed to be a cardinal by Francis just 2 years ago. He became a cardinal. He's one of the
Uh,
newest cardinals.
mm.
Elected to represent citizens from a foreign country, foreign nation. I don't know.
I can only name one. That'd be Ilhan Omar,
Yeah,
and maybe Rashida Tlaib.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, Omar for sure because of all the uh Ethiopian, or is it not Ethiopian? Is it Ethiopian? No.
No, it's
Somalian.
Somalians.
What?
Somalia.
Somalia. I knew it
Yeah.
was one of them nations over there.
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, so probably because there's so many Somalis up there in her precinct that yeah.
Yep. And I guess the FBI have made her district. They're on the terrorist list because they're the ones they support. Send a lot of money to these terrorist groups.
weapons are going to be changed their name from AR-15 to MS-13s. That
Yeah,
way the Democrats won't outlaw them.
right. I saw that.
Yeah.
So how my curiosity is how they vote on him. He was voted rather quickly. It only
He was
took
in
a
the fourth vote.
fourth vote.
Right. 80 of the 130 voting cardinals had been appointed by uh
Francis,
Francis. Yeah,
right?
Pope Francis. Yeah.
That
So
that
the wish was, and it has always been the practice in the past, that you don't have a long-serving pope following one that has been long-serving. You
right,
also try to get a conservative pope when you've had a liberal pope, but
right,
that's
mhm,
kind of gone through that kind of went out the window,
right,
and the odds are that it was going to be but he's shown some signs of possible more mechanical straight line thinking, because when he came out today as the pontiff, as the pope, he wore more regalia than what Francis did. Francis came out in just a simple white outfit. No,
right,
no trappings of the pope other than the fact it was all white,
right,
which is the color of the pope. He came out with the vestment around him and different things like that that showed he was more in line with the your typical pope.
right,
And he also is he's a very mechanically minded person, but he's also very pastoral. So
mm,
he does, and he did come out in 2012 against the blessings of gay marriages
right. Ooh,
as a priest. But he did, but then again, when uh, Francis decided to allow one of those things that Francis allowed, he supported him in. So, he worked very closely with Francis.
right, hmm,
And so I think it's going to, unfortunately, and I think it'll eventually be a schism in the church that, may be the downfall of it if he's continues on the same openly liberal practices that so many of these mainline churches are going down. It very
right,
well could be the end of the Catholic Church. I mean, we've seen it with
right.
the Methodists, we've seen it with the Lutherans, the Anglicans.
Yep.
The Catholics was the last holdout, and it looks like they're going down the same road. So,
Yeah, they've been
you know,
corrupted, and it's pushing a lot of the older people are leaving the
oh
church.
yeah, and they're leaving all of them, and like
Right,
the United Methodists are no longer united; they've actually split. And
right.
the same with the American Lutheran Church is also split.
Uh-huh.
Uh, which is I think the Missouri Synod is more conservative, but anyways, one of the big Lutheran organizations, they split. And you've also got a splitting of the Anglicans because of their stance on gay bishops, and
Uh,
there's the support of stuff that your the Christians generally, good practicing Christians doesn't support, and
right. And now a gay bishop, would that be a gishop?
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got a new term
Oh,
there.
no, because they've already got the name by in there, so bishop.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Buy as in
Yeah,
be shop,
by shopping. Yeah.
buy
Anyways,
shop. Okay. And say
but
buy shop.
and I Judy and I had belonged to the Catholic Church, but really after Benedict stepped down, we just lost all trust in the process, because I
Right,
personally don't think Benedict should have stepped down. I
right,
don't. And Francis was the runner up, but decided, when they voted on Benedict, Cardinal Ratzinger, when they voted him in, he decided not to take it to another round, so he kind of stepped out the second time around, or the third or fourth, whichever. Uh,
right.
he came in close to winning it then, but he stepped back for the good of the church, and then My internet just went.
Now, my question is, how is this like process of elimination like the lowest?
They have to have 3/4 of the vote,
Right.
and
But do they go through the names and who the top ones, and then they kind of whittle down, or do they?
well, yeah, in some ways they do, but they what they do is everybody casts their first votes,
Right.
and before they cast their votes, there's praying and there's discussion
Right.
and stuff, and nobody knows exactly what it is because those conclaves are secret.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
just wondered if it was like ranked choice voting. I don't know.
no, it's
Or they
they put up
go
their
through and
person puts up a
person
candidate, yeah, and
puts
or
in a candidate and they count them, and oh, the top one didn't get 2/3. Do it again, and then they do it all over again. And it's like,
they
man,
use but they usually have discussions about it after the first vote
right,
and why this person was, and if somebody came close, well, then it's just like Congress does when they have to, they have that first vote and it misses, so they have to go back and draw in some other people
oh
that
yeah,
might,
put some
like
more
Speaker of the
money,
House, like they do with Speaker of the House. It's
right,
sort of along that line, and
okay,
uh, it's my understanding it is, but they have to have 3/4 of the vote, and that's why. And of course, when I went to bed last night, they'd only had the one vote, and
right,
it was undecided. And then today, I got a text from my cousin, white smoke, and I go, oh,
right,
okay.
mm-hmm.
And what was
Yeah,
kind of neat about the whole thing is he walked out. He walked out two different. He actually came out twice. Well,
right,
the very first time he comes out, he's still in his Cardinal, uh, still wearing all of his Cardinal gear,
mhm.
and that's when he says, "I have chosen the name. I've accepted the pontificate, and I've chosen the name uh, Leo
Leo the
the
14th.
14th." Yeah,
Uh,
and then he steps back inside. Everybody cheer when he first stepped out. That was
yay!
when he first stepped out. It was like,
What? Who?
you know,
Who?
and they introduced, and it's like, who is this guy? And then all of a
Who's
sudden
the
he said,
provost?
yeah, he said, yeah, and like, wait a minute, he wasn't even on the list. We've been watching all these shows, and they keep telling
Yeah.
us
Mhm.
these 6 people are going to be the Pope, and they're not
Yeah.
one of them. And the
Yeah.
fact that he did it in 4 votes, which was, you know, they did 2 votes early this morning for our time, which was early. It was in the morning their time,
Mhm.
and so it was still relatively quick because some of them have gone, you know, 2 to 3 days, 4 days,
Oh, I heard one of the popes went 11 days.
11 days, yeah, almost
Yeah.
2 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's because of the fact that each time it's a new vote, and anybody can have their name. Anybody can either put their name forward or somebody can put their name forward for them.
Mhm.
Providing they're within the right age group.
Right.
And the fact that he's a younger guy, because I think he's right. He's 60 to 63. I can't remember now. I know he's at least 60, but I don't think he's much older.
Hmm.
And that was a surprise because everybody expected him to pick just a little bit older, somebody in their 70s, or their
Right.
late 60s at least. And the fact that he's in his early 60s, the fact that he's an American, which just, caught everybody off guard, One went 3 years. Thank you, Steve. I
Mm.
thought there was one that went a long time, but and that was probably the one where after it was all over, the the new pope dug up the old pope and excommunicated him.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Who
actually put
was
him on
that? Was that
trial.
Was that Stephen? Pope Stephen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but Pope Leo the 13th came along at a time when they were. Oh, he's 69. Okay, he's older than I thought he was.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Steve. I only listened to part of it today because I had things I had to do, so I was in and out today. And
That's Robert Provost.
Robert. Okay, where did I get
Robert.
Peter from? Oh,
I
I
don't
know.
know.
Peter's the first pope.
Yeah.
I knew Peter was in there somewhere.
Peter, Paul, John. Yeah.
Ringo and
Tom.
them other apostles. Yeah.
Yeah.
know.
Thomas. Yeah. I can only name those ones. Saul, who became Paul.
Yeah, but
Am I right?
he wasn't one of the original apostles.
Okay.
He wasn't one of the 12 disciples, I should say.
Okay. All right. I know.
You got to
well,
remember, Paul was a Roman citizen that was actually sending the Christians to their death.
Okay.
He was a Jewish Roman, but he was persecuting the early Christians.
Right.
Until the good Lord met him on the road to Damascus and smacked him up. He had a real coming to Jesus moment that day.
Okay.
So
Okay. All righty. Switching gears a little bit. We're going. Charles, did you happen to see that video that I sent you about private equity companies?
No, I've only been home just a few minutes before the show started.
Okay. Well, I sent it about a day or two ago. And It was from Tim Kramer. He does these little shorts. And this was actually a longer video than he normally does. Normally does one about 1 to 2 minutes. And he talks about the topic, and he gives his opinion about it real quick. And he's pretty good at it. But he said you gotta watch this video, and you gotta watch it to the end. And this young lady who was did some research about debt equity companies, and what they do is they, like what they did with Toys R Us, Red Lobster, and now Joanne Fabrics. They've been buying up these companies, and these companies all went bankrupt. And like Joanne Fabrics, 97% of the stores are profitable. And why are they declaring bankruptcy? Well, they've got what they have, and this is adjustable rate loans, and they're called backfilled loans. And you want to know how much they've taken out? $3.8 trillion. And because they
who took this out? These mortgage companies?
They're debt equity.
Okay, well,
they're not debt equity, private equity firms. Like what I said, what Blackstone.
I just went back to May 1st, and I don't have anything like that from you.
Oh, okay. Maybe okay. Anywho, so what they're doing is, and they claim, and one of the things that they do is they're a management group. So what they do is they go into these companies and they basically just strip their management out and said, no, this is what you're going to do. And they get these adjustable rate loans, and they figure they're not going to lose any money on this. They get money, they get paid either way. And so do the banks, because the banks are pushing these to pensions. So your 401k or your pension, whatever, like for example, Colorado has PARA, which is the Public Employee Retirement Association. These could all go kablooey. They'll make '08 look like a cakewalk, and this could collapse the whole system and really ruin a lot of lives, especially, people like me that are getting near retirement. But Lloyd, you've got, besides Social Security, it's not going to affect that. And you got your VA, so you're pretty much good
I don't.
unless it collapses the market so bad that it tears through the Social Security and all that. And so, not to be all doom and gloom, there is a fix, and Trump is trying to get Congress to pass the carried interest loophole. Try to get taken out so that these debt or these private equity companies can't do stuff like this, because basically what they do is they buy up these companies, they sell off the assets, like the land, and so these companies have to rent their buildings that they're in. The price of their buildings go up, and they can't do business, so they're going bankrupt. A lot of these, and the Hooters is one of them, and they're on the verge of going bankrupt.
Not taking anything away from what you're saying about what this person says, but you said, let's start with Hooters, Red Lobster, Joann's, and who else? Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
All four of those were already struggling before anybody else invested in them. They were failing businesses, and Hooters has been suffering for the last 3 or 4 years. Actually, Hooters started getting hurt by the Me Too movement. That's
right.
This isn't anything to do with this debt equity. They were already going bankrupt. They have been for the last four. Their profit margin has been going down. The Me Too movement, then the all the rest of the DEI stuff that hurt them. Toys R Us, shoot, they were going.
Yeah.
Their prices were too high.
Right.
They couldn't compete with Walmart.
And
and
the internet too, Amazon.
Well, but when Toys R Us went out of business, the internet was just Amazon was still, and Red Lobster. I'd heard rumors about them for years that they had been, because the cost of food went up and stuff. A lot of these companies like Red Lobster got really hurt by COVID because they couldn't make money. I don't think it's a debt, because every one of them you've named I knew was in financial trouble long before.
It's more than just those.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I mean, what I heard on the video, it could be more than.
Yeah.
But they're also invested in real estate.
Well, yeah.
Like apartments and condos.
Right.
And they're screwing around with the housing market, and it's going to cause another bubble in the housing sector.
Well, yeah, and that's going to happen anyways. You're going to have readjustments. Wait, especially if one of the biggest things that's like and this was back 4 years ago. There's a gentleman I met up in Tulsa that I was doing some business with. Anyways, I went up there and we got talking about it. And I don't pay attention really what's going on in Tulsa that much, unless it affects something that's going on in Muskogee. But he was explaining to me that the Chinese were coming in buying up every apartment.
Right.
They were buying up neighborhoods of houses and then using them for rentals and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I mean, we got dozens of them around here that are just all they are is rental homes. Somebody comes in, buys them cheap, fixes them up on the cheap, and then rents them. And then that person bails. They go back in, do a little more patch and mud, and paint and rent it again. And then
Mhm.
eventually, they've made their money and paid for it, and then they sell it off cheap. And
Mhm.
it's nothing but pure profit then. So,
Right.
but that's what the Chinese have been doing in the Tulsa housing market. Not just
Right.
so it's not just them. It's we've and that's going to create a problem if Trump gets the ability to shut down the Chinese from buying, by
Right.
foreign entities buying American property, which is the way it should be. You can't go to Mexico and buy an American
Right.
can't go to Mexico and buy property.
No.
You can lease it, but you can't
Right.
buy it. You can
Same
rent it.
with the Philippines. You could
Philippines and a lot of
now
other countries.
the Philippines. You could buy a condo, but you're actually
You're just
renting
buying
the
the building.
land.
The land still remains with the family that owns that piece of property.
Right.
Because yeah,
Hmm.
you're not really you're just buying the building. You're not,
Right.
and if they choose to sell the land out from under you and they want to charge you an outrageous lease for that, a new family member comes over and they take over, you're screwed. If
Yep.
you don't pay it, they'll take your condo. So,
Right.
but that's the way it is in other countries. We're the only country that allows foreign entities to come in here and buy up our land.
Right.
And so, yeah,
Hmm.
a lot of this is going to happen anyways, but like I said, the ones that you named are ones that I already knew for years
Right.
that were already in financial problems.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
I'm
good to
breaking
know.
in a new pipe, so
You're breaking in a new pipe. All
yeah.
right. Okay.
Went to Tulsa yesterday and we found a pipe shop where I had to go up there with James because he had to go get his neck checked by his neurosurgeon, and
Uh,
we had the afternoon, no place to go, so and one of the places we went was I found a so I got
okay.
got me this briarwood pipe.
There you go. Did you ask them if they had any meerschaum pipes?
Oh yeah, they had them. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Cool.
just immersion pipes don't strike me as because
Yeah,
yeah,
but they turn kind of a golden
yeah they do. Yeah, yeah,
orange.
yeah,
It makes
yeah,
you look eloquent. Ew, ew.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm not.
you're
I
persnickety in your
I'd prefer a
like
wood pipe.
wood pipe.
Instead of
Uh,
the.
you could be like a sailor and get one of those long, thin clay pipes.
Mm, I don't want to
Like
do clay either.
colonials.
No, no, no. For one thing,
All right.
the way those clay pipes work is, they have no tip on them, so you smoke them, and then when that tip gets burned out, you just break off part of it, and
Ah,
that's the way those clay pipes were originally made. Just, that's why they'd start out this long and they'd end up this long.
oh, did not know that.
Yep.
Okay, I always okay. What else is going on? All right, we covered the Pope. We covered that. You pretty much shut my shit to. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, but you made good points. You made good points, and I watched that video again, and I'm like, oh, wow, that happens, if our pension system goes to
Right.
shit, a lot of people are going to get screwed over.
Well, a lot of the pensions are in trouble anyways because of, uh, like a 401k's got some protections to it, but a
Yeah.
lot of these pensions, these union pensions,
Right.
they're always in trouble.
Oh yeah.
you know, because they invest in, more
Casinos.
they more high risk investments,
High risk. Yeah.
and
High risk,
uh
big rewards. Yeah.
yeah, high risk, big
Chasing the
rewards.
big gains and
And a lot
Yeah,
of times, the people doing the investing don't have any idea what in the hell they're doing, you know,
yeah. Or they have mob connections.
or they get kickbacks or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, kickbacks. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's because I was almost late getting here. Well, I was a little late getting in because I went over next door. James cooked me some cooked hamburgers over there, and I went over there and had dinner with him.
Oh,
And
good.
we were talking about things, and he brought up several different things. He likes watching a lot of different things that has to do with with history and other stuff like that. And he started bringing up certain things. He says, this is something I'm curious about. Why don't we hear about this? And blah blah blah. And he brought up, I don't know, some obscure thing that has been circling around for quite a few years. And he says, and he asked me about it. I said, never heard of it. And, huh?
Uh-huh.
Really? I said, no, never even heard. It's not on my radar, And then he brought up something else. I said, again, never heard of it. And then I asked him, I said, now I know you're not, you have your own beliefs, but I said, do you know what the shroud of, was it Shroud of Turin? Turin?
Mm-hmm.
Shroud of Turin. Yeah.
Turin. Anyways. He says, yeah,
Shroud.
I've heard. I said, the Shroud of Jesus, He says,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard of it. And I said, yeah. And I said, and you're not really a religious follower. He says, no. I said, the reason is because they're still studying it. It's well known. It's being studied by generations of people. It's been studied for years and years. Things are starting to, you know, and they're always doing these different things. I said, the reason I don't hear about the stuff you're talking about is because most of the time, the reason they're not talked about, except in closed circles, behind closed doors, is because they're usually fake anyways.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
again, you have to look at what you get, and if it's not something that, if it's not, I haven't seen it on Fox News or anything, or
Yeah.
CNN or any of those others, then why? Why isn't, if it is that big a deal, why isn't it more widely known?
Yeah.
It's not a secret. It's because there's probably not a lot of validity to it. And this is what I told him, I said, there are a lot of these things you watch. I said, no offense, son, but go get out the tinfoil hat. And he saw my argument because, he brought up something I did know about, but unfortunately one of his sources wasn't as reputable as what I knew. And they were saying one thing, and I said, no, no. I said, history, and I could tell him in history and point out to him, and he went back and double checked it, and I was right. I said, because that's an actual event.
Okay.
This other thing is a supposition,
Okay.
and it's part of a conspiracy thing, and just a couple of things. And it wasn't we were arguing. It's just that I brought up those as examples. Same with this.
Mhm.
I knew about these companies that were
Right.
already in financial trouble, and it's well known. It was in, there's
Mhm.
all over the news on financial news. If you watch
Right.
some basic financial news, you'll hear that. So, and as I said about BlackRock, the only thing I know about them is that they're government contractors.
BlackRock. It's
BlackRock.
Blackstone.
Oh, Blackstone.
Blackstone Group.
Oh, Blackstone. Okay, well, see, BlackRock is a,
BlackRock is totally different.
yeah, well, that's what you said, BlackRock the first
I
time.
thought what Blackstone, BlackRock,
Yeah, well, Blackstone, all I know about, the only thing I know
iceberg.
about Blackstone is they make a pretty damn good griddle,
Yeah,
gas
they
griddle
do. Mm-hmm.
and grill.
Blackstone,
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know what they said about the Titanic? They said, iceberg, I don't care. Iceberg, Goldberg.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, I didn't necessarily mean to shoot holes in your
No, that you
theory,
made some
but
good
it's something.
points.
Look at some
I don't-
other. You need to start to look at some other.
Well, because I look at a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Unlike, my liberal friends who all get their shit from MSNBCs,
Well,
CBS, and
look at
all
some of
that.
the financial. Start looking into financial news and stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
Don't let these, because there's a few of these guys that I get email or I get notices on some of their stuff, and I go look at it and I go, I don't care if you say you're conservative or not, you're a fucking idiot. Excuse my language.
Uh-huh.
And that's the only way you can look at some of those guys. It's like it's
Right.
all about trying to catch the attention, and
Right. Clickbait.
uh, so I always look at more.
The big picture.
Yeah, and I try to look at more reputable or higher end,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, uh, sources,
Right.
and
Good
then
point. Good.
compare notes. And
Hmm.
you just happen to name off the ones I actually knew about and
Right.
had known about for a long time,
Hmm.
So, so, anyways, like I said, didn't mean to shoot your,
Oh no,
you know,
no. I'm always open to if somebody sees something in and can
and
talk about it.
there could be some real truth to this, but
Hmm.
uh, I would because there was a couple things that had come up that I heard somebody and they were concerned about their 401k was just bleeding out money.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, things turned around and it was back to profitable again. So,
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah. It was
but
about.
they were going to but they were going to contact their investor and let's get away from that kind of stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
you do want to make sure that you're not in that that your investment company into the
Right.
high risk, high gain.
Hmm. Yes.
Because you should be keeping a real close eye on your investments
Yep.
and
Mhm.
but don't make the assumption that because it's bad right at the moment that it'll be bad tomorrow
Oh
or the
yeah.
next day. Because
Uh,
I did that. I did that with investments I had, and I've kicked myself 100 times over because I was a lot younger. I was
right.
in my late 20s, and is back when or early 30s, I should say.
Oh, when
But
radio was new.
yeah,
Yeah.
but no, when Sam Walton comes out and says, "It's only money," and I just so happens that I knew that most of my a portion of each of my monthly investment because I had donated every month and they invested it. That a lot of that was going into one pharmaceuticals, but two Walmart, and then you have Walmart just dropping money left and right at
Hmm.
that. And so I told him, I said, just give me back what I've invested, just minus the fees, and we'll call it an even day. And I said, you really don't want to do that? Yeah, I just more comfortable. And then over the next 3 years, Walmart stock split about four or five, 6 times,
Right.
and it was
Hmm.
suddenly worth a small fortune. And
Yep.
I just pissed it all away because I got a little excited because one, I was going on a theory that was no longer that a theory about how the stock market worked that was no longer applicable because this is when the stock market was going from if it got over 1,000 points, it was fixing to crash to
Right.
it hit 1,000 point and then it hit 10,000 point and it hit and it just
Mm.
kept going, you know,
Yep. Oh, and
and
there were plenty of dips along the way. I
well,
remember.
yeah, but it
Oh,
never went. It never went below 1,000 after that
oh
initial
yeah.
you know,
Uh,
but up to
what-
that point, it had never been above 1,000 except during a crash, you know?
right. One of my coworkers was bitching about the last crash in 07, 08, and she was going to retire really soon. I
Right,
said, well, if you were still in it for, still working for a while, it'll rebound. And you know what? It did. And just like when Trump was talking about tariffs, and all of a sudden the market went down, and
right, right.
a lot of our friends were bitching on Facebook. Oh, Trump is crashing the market. And I said, no, no, don't worry, it'll come back, and it did because I was down 10K, and now I'm back to even now, and
Yeah,
so yeah, so I'm it always bounces back. I've got another 2 or 3 years. I have faith that it'll,
It's
you
it's
know,
all fluid, it's very fluid, and you
mhm,
need to be aware of your stocks, and you need to have, lower risk stocks. You need to
yeah,
have a larger proportion of your portfolio going into a lower risk.
right.
You know,
That's
they
what
may
I
not
have.
have high yield, but they're a lower risk. So,
Right,
uh, and have the minority of your stuff going into the more higher, a little higher
higher
risk
risk.
and higher
Yeah,
output. Yeah,
right. And that's what I've done. Yeah, you got them? Good.
yeah, I
Because I
got
got
it.
a big ass flying around here too. So
Yeah, them damn things. During this time of year is when they start, really
but,
coming about, and these damn horseflies we have around here.
oh yeah, I got a
Yeah,
big one flying around here. If you
yeah.
see one flying around
Yeah, I'll
backing me
see
up.
the big ones, and then a little while later, I'll see some really tiny ones, and then the medium ones, and the big ones are back. It's like the life cycle of a fly,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we got enough critters in Oklahoma. That's one less
Mm-hmm.
fly we don't need. So, but I made sure that my coffee cup was closed before I thumped it.
Yeah, there you go.
Looks like his
So,
brother just came to visit.
and why don't we ask Charles about his haircut? Did Charles get a haircut?
I
You're
did
looking pretty dapper today.
about 10 days ago or so.
Ah,
Haircut,
okay.
beard trim.
Shows
Thank
how
you.
good you are. I knew
Good.
about it last week.
So,
It looks
yeah,
good on you, Charles.
Big pardon?
I said it looks good on you.
yeah,
Thank you.
it does. Mm-hmm.
Unlike me, that looks like a.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about mugging one of them guys with their orange vest and their signs out there and their placards, see if I could make a little extra money standing
There
on the
you
corner.
go. You
I
know
got the
what?
look, I got the look
You
going.
ought to try it.
Yeah.
I've been tempted to, go out in my raggedy looking clothes and get a sign out there and have like a butterfly net and reach out and have people drop money in.
Well,
See
they have
how,
to be licensed. They have to be licensed here in Muskogee.
okay.
Yeah, they have to. There's certain criteria that they have to meet, or they will get arrested.
Ah, okay. Okay. Cool.
We
So,
have panhandler laws in Oklahoma, in Muskogee.
well, that's
So,
You have
good.
what laws?
do what?
You said you have something laws, and I didn't hear what you said for.
Panhandler.
Oh, panhandlers. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
panhandler laws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in other words, you have to be a professional then in Muskogee.
Yeah, you got to be a licensed panhandler.
Oh, do you
Wow.
have a part 107?
No. I don't think they're required to take a test. They just gotta,
Yeah, a test.
they
You
gotta
can
have
only do
it's sort of
one.
like a sales permit. You gotta have certain permits to bag,
Yeah.
apparently. So
Mhm.
I know it cut down on a lot of them.
That's good. That's good. Well, now we've got aggressive window washers. So that's the thing. Mostly downtown Denver, but
Yeah, they don't do that here in Muskogee. They'll probably get shot.
yeah. But now that ICE is rounding up a bunch of them. Just a couple weeks ago, we arrested a whole bunch of Trendy Araguas.
Yeah.
Yeah, down in Colorado Springs at a underground nightclub, and it wasn't just ICE; it was DEA, it was the county, the city, the state. I mean, all the different agencies were involved in on this. I mean, even the postal office and
Right.
the liquor department. It was like, wow, they got out the big guns and
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think they made
you
100.
had the DEI there.
The DEI there, yeah. No, but they had his cousin DEA.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's what I said. The DEA was there, but did they call in?
Yeah, DEI, yeah. So now it's now a new law. It's against the law. You gotta. Uh, uh, it's something about trans kids, and you gotta respect their pronouns and all that bullshit, and parents.
You know, DEI stands for Democrats' Eternal Ignorance.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. So basically, yeah, and like I said the other night, I saw a sticker that says protect trans kids. I'm like going, that wasn't even a word I even heard when I was a kid. I never even knew the word transvestite when I was a kid. Did you, Lloyd?
Yeah, but it has to do with a joke that my dad
Yeah.
told me.
Shit, and it's like now it's like it's just getting ridiculous what
Yeah.
they're doing, and it's like, man, it's they don't have this kind of shit going on in the Philippines because they're a
No.
pretty conservative country when it comes to that's they're becoming more acceptable to gay lifestyle, but not these drag queens and stuff acting
Well,
going to
India has a group and of drag queens, and I mean it's a whole lifestyle, and they're actually supported by the government. They make a living, and what they do is they show up at weddings
oh
to dance at an Indian wedding, and the people pay them to come in and dance, but the reason they pay them, or they allow them in, is because they're scared of, if they turn them away and don't pay them, the wedding couple will be cursed.
oh
And
okay
so, yeah, and if you watch any Bollywood movies, there's always a group of those people, and
oh okay
because they truly believe over there that, to turn them away is bad luck. And so
okay
they
oh
go in and they ask for a little money, and but they're also licensed and again, followed by the government, because some of them can get pretty nasty, and so they've made sure that they follow a certain, and I don't even know what they call them over there, but I know that's what they are. They're,
okay
yeah,
uh, okay as long as they don't identify as a cow. Okay.
right, yeah,
Yeah, because that'd be sacrilegious.
that
Oh,
would be sacrilegious, yeah.
yeah. What else is going on in politics? I gotta take my pill. Get ready for bed. Boy, I was sick as a dog yesterday. Sinuses were running. It was like a faucet.
Right.
So I took some. It's like generic NyQuil. You know, did a
Yeah,
shot of that. Normally I do a half a shot, but I did a full
I can't hardly,
shot of
yeah,
it.
I can't hardly stand that stuff. It's just so nasty.
Well, this one has a cherry flavor to it, so it's not like Jägermeister. Oh, that other stuff tastes like Jägermeister.
Yeah,
And
it tastes like a really cheap whiskey with cherry syrup poured into, is what it
yeah,
tastes like
there
to
you
me.
go. But boy, did I sleep. I slept and woke up at my usual time, like 10 minutes after 2. For some reason, I got to wake up an hour before my alarm goes off. So I get up and I just felt, kind of groggy all, half the
Yeah,
day. And then
yeah.
finally started coming to. And oh boy. So hopefully tonight I'll have another good night's sleep and be fresh in the morning. It's Friday. Yay. Work another 9+ hours. Yay. Mm-hmm. And my neighbor down the hall moved out, so waiting to see what's going on there. And hopefully, maybe in a week or so, I'll be moving into my new place. Yes, Don likes the original green.
Green. Yeah.
Yeah, I could sip it so.
Sip it slowly. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe I should try that. I use that Coricidin HBP because I take blood pressure medicine and but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I look,
I was
my,
gonna say one of the because I've been having to take some lately because of allergies ever since I got back to
right.
Oklahoma. But one of the benefits is since I started smoking a pipe, I'm only smoking about a half a pack of cigarettes a day, if that much.
Uh-huh. Took NyQuil noodles and dreamt I was.
NyQuil and no-dose and dreamt you were sleeping. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So so hopefully I'll be in my new place pretty soon. It'll be a lot cheaper, and it'll be 1/3 the size of this place. I won't have this room, but you'll be seeing my living room. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That works.
That's what's going on. So talked
Oh,
about
we did make a deal with the UK, I guess, today on
oh
tariffs. Yeah,
on tariffs. That's
yeah,
good.
trade deal with them.
So
And
they'll bring in dentistry, and we'll buy their crumpets and
yeah, I don't know what. I heard one guy say today, he was a Democrat. He said the way they were talking, he says it's not that good of a deal. He says I personally thought they might have been working out a trade deal in fertilizer because there was a lot of BS going around. I thought it was funny. Yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
obviously the libs are not. Oh, speaking of liberals, uh, the Labor Party won again in Australia. They picked out the same schmuck they've had for the last 4 to 6 years. So their
Wow,
government, yeah,
they're as
there's
bad
gluttons for
as
punishment.
Canadians.
Trump, well shafted Starmer. Is that the? I'm not sure.
Yeah, might
I
be
I'm not
auto.
sure who the UK guy was, so that may be his name. But
Oh, well, the guy up in Canada,
yeah,
the last 10 years he's been living in Ireland.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so and he's just as liberal as Trudeau, and
It's
it's like,
Trudeau. Yeah,
ugh.
yeah. I can't believe they voted another one in, but you know,
Mhm. Well, look at the Philippines. They voted for another Marcos. I mean, they voted for his son to run the
yeah,
country.
yeah,
The thing I don't understand about their politics is, yeah, they have different parties, but I can't figure out, okay, which one's liberal, which one's centrist, which one's, leans more free markets,
right. Yeah,
liberty, and all that stuff. And I can't figure out which one it is. And maybe I'll ask one of my Filipino friends and say, maybe you could, I mean,
explain
where
it to
does
you. Yeah,
Marcos stand on this, that, and that? And where does Duterte stand? We know how he stands on drugs and violence, So because they seem like they're left of center. Some are more further to the left, and some are more centrist,
yeah.
and maybe a little bit to the right. And I'm interested in finding out what they need.
Yeah.
Smaller government. They got all these different departments and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
really? I mean, you're a country that's you're developing, but you need to get to a certain point to where
Well,
you
here's the thing. They call them developing countries. I mean, how the hell long does it take to develop? They've been developing for the last 150
right.
years, or longer, or 200
Mm,
years. Sometimes they're no longer developing; they're just stagnating.
right. Hmm.
And
Mhm.
I think that's what a lot of them are. They just quit
Hmm.
developing. They stopped. They get to a certain point, and they're no longer developing. They're just
Right.
stuck.
Well, they're always building buildings. There's condos going up everywhere, and that part of their economy is going. It's just that if they could bring in
He's right,
manufacturing
Ronnie.
and employ more. Mark Carney
Was it?
was governor of
Oh,
Bank.
okay. So he said we shafted. Uh, Trump shafted Carney. Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we've covered a lot, and Lloyd managed to blow up my big story, which is fine. I like to hear, another perspective to kind of
Well, no,
set me straight.
I don't know
And
if I set you straight. I think you should look into it a little differently and see
right,
what
uh,
else you can find out first.
okay, will
You know,
do.
there
I'll
might
look.
be there might be a lot of merit to what you have to say because I didn't watch the video for whatever reason. I don't know why. Uh, but I just know you named off companies that I knew about, and so it's
Right,
like,
right,
okay, that's not
mhm,
news to me. I already knew about that.
right,
This not just the not just Joann's, but they did the same thing happened to Hancock Fabrics. The problem was they can't compete with Walmart,
right, mhm,
or in Oklahoma's case, Hobby Lobby.
right,
Uh,
mhm,
Hobby Lobby has a huge fabric department and sewing department.
right, mhm,
And so yeah, it's. I mean, I hated it when the Hancocks went out because Judy and I'd go over there and we could buy stuff that for whatever we might be making, if we couldn't find it anywhere else, they had it. But
right,
now all we got is Hobby Lobby, so
right.
or
Hobby
Walmart.
Lobby it is. All right, everybody. Don't forget my other show tomorrow night, which is on an hour earlier, and Lloyd's not yawning a lot. Well, except when he's watching.
Yeah,
Then I
I was
don't
going to say
blame
I'm
him.
probably
Yeah,
yawning because I'm getting ready to go
yeah.
to bed. Yeah.
And then don't forget Saturday is Bill's Hanger Talk, or we like to call the Don and Lon Show. Uh, you all have a great weekend. Oh, and have a great Mother's Day on Sunday. So
Yes.
take
Yes.
care. God bless. Good night, all.
Good
Good
night,
night,
folks.
everyone.